Your network is your net worth.
Okay. All right.
So you're in my network, right? You're somebody I know. I've had a relationship with for going on, I think, 13 years, right?
Yeah.
Everybody in LinkedIn that I'm connected to is my network. So we have lots of different networks, and it's a question of going, look, you've got to get people to know about you, like you, and trust you before you can go ask people for money. So if you just stand up and start saying, I need money, nobody's interested in that. If you stand up and say, listen, I've got a business opportunity for you, here's the proof of concept, I've proved the model, now I'm looking to scale it. Now, there are lots of people with money out there who are interested in opportunities like that.
So everybody, Mr. Paul Avins. Listen, Paul, thank you for your time.
Hey, Marcus, it's a privilege and a pleasure to get to share time with you. And yeah, super excited to work with your team as well on kind of increasing their contribution and maximizing the returns for the team and the business. So yeah, enjoying that project as well.
Absolutely. Listen, I want to start with something I read about you. Okay, you helped build a £15 million business by the age of 28.
So, well, yes, true. Actually, I started that project at 26, having just got married, actually. But it was a team of 3 of us. So 3 of us started that project. And 2 years later, we had 460 people, I think, working for us at the time. We had offices in 4 different cities in the UK. And it was a crazy scale. It was a crazy.
In how many years? And what did you just say?
That was 2 years.
2 years. You had 400 plus people working with you. Okay.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing about that journey for me was that I was at 26, you have an incredible amount of energy. You can work 7 days a week. You can burn the candle at birth age. You can do all of that stuff. And at 26, I didn't really know any different. I just assumed, that was what you did to grow a business. Actually, I paid a fairly hefty price for that in terms of relationship damage, because if you just got married and you're never around, it's not a good thing. So, but yeah, it was a wild ride, learned tons. And that's, I got a bug then, a real addiction for growing things and finding ways to scale things quickly. That's really kind of came from that. So.
Yeah. So tell us about that, because when I read your bio out just now, obviously it talks about new levels of not sales, but scalable sales.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference?
No, great question. So I've been doing this for 17 years, as you say now. And one of my frustrations is that there are a lot of people in the industry who will tell and say to business owners, because it's easy to sell them on the idea of just ramp up sales. The challenge with that is that you can jack up sales in the short term really easily. That's not hard to do. But to create scalable, consistently growing sales so that the business can grow and sustain long term is a very different thing altogether. So what I mean by
people care about that. People just want to grow their. I think if somebody starts a business, they just want to grow. They don't care about it being, consistent, scalable. They just want more money. Is that maybe?
Yeah, but see, that's the trap, isn't it? That's the trap, because the reality is when you're in startup mode, the first 2 years of any business, as Richard Branson says, is about survival. It's not about making money. It's about actually proving whether or not you have a product that can serve and solve a problem for somebody and that you can actually make money. Now, because most businesses start with not enough capital, right? So I've started 7 or 8 businesses now over the years. I've started the one we grew very fast. We raised money for. So, did that with about £5 million worth of funding. So we were able to grow really fast. So, but most of us, and I've done it the other way, where I've started with no money, and I've done it where I've borrowed credit cards to start a business. So the challenge is that when you do it without enough startup capital, you're constrained, your growth is constrained because you don't have the cash quick enough to reinvest.
This is so interesting. This is so interesting because other people, like Felix Dennis, for example, he would say something like, or Dennis Felix, he would say, never ever. I'm assuming these people gave you some money for a reason. They got some shares, and they said never give away any shares because it's not about the sales; it's about selling in the end, and that's where you make all your money. So
okay. So I mean, listen, I've actually wrote it's one of my most frequently and popular read posts on LinkedIn about Felix Dennis and 10 lessons from Felix Dennis just after he died. But the interesting thing, look, I get that, but I also get the point that we've all got to make decisions about what's personally valuable to us. So for me at 26, the decision was, there was a market opportunity. Now that window was open right then. We've got two choices. We can either take some funding and grow really big, really fast and exit, or we can take 10 years to do this and possibly get beaten to the opportunity by somebody else.
That's a good distinction. Yeah, absolutely.
So now, you can, it depends on what you're trying to do, right? So like if you're trying to build a lifestyle business, if you just want to build a really nice business that does £500,000 to £1 million a year, makes healthy profits, and you can run with a team of 6 or 8 or 4 in my case, you don't need to give away the equity. However, so for example, my other business, I own a business, Team Dynamics, which goes in and actually teaches and trains people how to build high performing teams. Now, for that business to scale faster, we needed extra liquidity. So I've got two choices. I can either take on debt, or I could sell, I could bring in an investor. And I chose to bring in an investor because not just the capital, but they also bought access to a massive network and international access that I didn't have. So there's value just outside the capital. Plus, it gives me the operating cash to grow faster. So with all of this, it comes back to what's the strategy you're trying to drive.
Okay, so let's just say that somebody did want to bring in, like you said, to grow faster, but also the context, etc. And they're going, but I don't know anybody. That's a question I have a lot, but I don't know anybody, Marcus. So what do people have to do to get these kind of people on board?
Yeah. So listen, one of the things I've said and taught throughout my entire career and believed in massively is your network is your net worth.
Your net worth is your network.
Your network is your net worth.
Okay. All right.
So you're in my network, right? You're somebody I know. I've had a relationship with for going on, I think 13 years, right? Yeah. Everybody in LinkedIn that I'm connected to is my network. So we have lots of different networks, and it's a question of going, look, you've got to get people to know about you, like you, and trust you before you can go ask people for money. So if you just stand up and start saying, I need money, nobody's interested in that. If you stand up and say, listen, I've got a business opportunity for you. Here's the proof of concept. I've proved the model. Now I'm looking to scale it. Now there are lots of people with money out there who are interested in opportunities like that.
But they don't know you yet. I mean, I think your point just now was really interesting because people wait. They go, oh, I don't have anything to offer. Now I have something to offer. And then they jump down people's throats. They don't even know you yet.
So two things. Number one, build your platform, build your network, right? You can go online and you can start connecting with people on LinkedIn. If you connect with 10 people a day on LinkedIn for the next 6 months, you'll have a much bigger network.
Okay, so 10 people a day, people could do that, right? Yeah, 10 people a day.
Chunk it down.
Yeah. And what if you just say, yeah, but what am I doing? What am I offering? What am I saying? You're just connecting.
You're just right. Remember, know, like, trust. Your goal isn't to so the fourth step is transact. We're not trying to get to transact yet. We're just trying to get you known. We're going to get people to like you. Then we're going to get people to trust you. So first you connect with people. So if you go networking physically, do 2 meet, I know you can't now, but like virtually you can go networking. Aim to add 10 people a day to your network. We're not trying to sell people. Everybody's in such a rush to get to the money that they miss out on building the platforms and the assets. Cash follows assets. Your network is an asset. If you're not strategically growing your network, then you're going to find it very hard to raise money. I'll give you another example, right? So got a very good friend of mine called John, built a really big network on Instagram, really big following on Instagram. When he came to raise money for a business project, he posted that he had this opportunity on Instagram, and he got 6 people to give him $100,000 for the project. Now, those people had been friends with him on Instagram. They'd been following him. They'd been watching his posts. They'd been watching his videos, right? Know, like, trust, now transact. Too many people are trying to go from you just know me to transact with me, and it doesn't work. It's way too fast.
So know, then like, then trust, and then finally transact. Okay, brilliant. Instead of hi and offering something immediately.
Yeah, stop trying to sell and start trying to build trust. Trust is the currency. Here's the thing, the world we live in now, nobody trusts anybody, right? Nobody trusts anybody. We don't trust politicians. We don't trust banks. We don't trust the media. So do you know what? I am hyper skeptical anytime I meet anybody. Of course, because I don't know you. Why should I trust you? So you've got to earn that trust. Trust is a currency that has to be earned, and it takes time, and you've got to deliver value to people for people to start to go, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, right? So if you follow me on LinkedIn, I post really good value every day, 5 days a week, right? Between 8 and 9 in the morning, I post every day. I post articles, I post tips, I post comments, suggestions, things you can do, right?
So you're adding value. So you're adding value. So you come to the table not saying, how can you help me? Which I think most people do because they're in a rush and they didn't build up their network. So you come to it just going, add value, help, add value, add value. And that grows the knowing, of course, the liking and the trusting. And so if you ever need anything, you can transact.
Yes. Can I just share something on my, I know it's my flip chart here. Do you mind? I'm a bit of a flip chart guy. Is that all right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hopefully you can see this. The mic should pick me up, but I'll write 4 words down that if everybody gets this concept, it will change how they grow their business in any way. Whether you want to sell an investor on investing, whether you want to sell someone on buying your business when you're trying to exit, or whether you want to sell a team member on joining you want to sell a customer, or you want to sell the bank on lending you money.
Look at that. That's 5 things that I'd be interested in. So go for it.
Cool. So think about think about shifting the mindset in this way, right?
Okay.
So first of all, let's come from this one. Serve. The goal number 1 is to serve, right? S-E-R-V. Yeah, serve, right? As in add what? Value.
Yeah, serve and add value. Absolutely.
That one, right? I'll get a new pen. It's all good. Right? So serve, right? But serve strong. So what do I mean by that? I mean, show up consistently. Too many people do a little bit and then they stop. They post for a month and then go, oh, nothing's happening. So no, you got to serve strong. You got to keep serving, keep showing up, right? There's 3 words that I have literally stuck in the home gym I have, and it just says, keep showing up.
Right.
You got to show up.
You. That's really interesting. So you need to actually be reminding yourself as well to do it. Yeah.
Every day. Because you know what? Here's the thing. You've got to show up when you're getting results. You've got to show up when you're not getting results. Because life isn't about every time you show up, you get a result. But it's the compound effect. Same thing when you teach with investing, right? Some days you're going to be up, some days you're going to be down, but you've got to keep showing up. So you got to serve strong. You got to go, I'm going to show up today and I'm going to serve. I'm going to share something of value. I'm going to answer a question. I'm going to go into a group. I'm going to post a video, right? I'm going to serve strong. Now, if you serve strong, here's what happens. Right?
I like that. Serve strong.
Serve strong, sell easy.
Okay. Nice.
Serve strong, sell easy, right? If you come at it from that perspective.
That is so fantastic, because most people have a challenge, small or big, with that word S-E-L-L.
Yeah.
And this kind of circumvents that. Because
they're trying to jump, right, from no to transact without doing like and trust. Yeah. So it's like, look, you should never sell somebody something they don't want or isn't going to serve them or solve a problem for them, right? And we've all done it at some point in our career. And that people have, especially in this country, we're terrible with the idea that if I sell you something, you're going to dislike me. Well, no, listen, if you sell me something that solves a problem, if I have a migraine and you turn up with painkillers and you don't convince me to buy the painkiller because it will help me, I'm going to be left in pain.
Yeah.
One of my very first coaches said to me, he said, imagine this, Paul. He said, imagine you're a skin specialist, right? You know how to spot cancers in people, all right? And you're walking down the beach and you see somebody sunbathing who's got melanoma. They've got a cancer and they're lying there in the sun. They clearly are not aware that that's a problem.
You would let them know immediately.
Yeah, but would you? Would you be polite, or would you just go, listen, I'm really sorry. I need to bring this to your attention. That's a problem, right? I'm an expert. That's gonna kill you if you don't deal with it. I mean, most people go, I'm really sorry. I couldn't possibly interrupt you. You know, that'd be rude. It's like, no, hang on a second. Look, I know it's like this. If I don't say this, you're going to be in trouble. Now, if you choose to act on the information, that's up to you, right? People have to participate in their own rescue. I'm not going to save you. I'm not going to do it for you. But if I know that I can serve you and help you get somewhere faster, why wouldn't I offer you the opportunity? If you choose to take it, that's up to you. But my job is to offer the opportunity. People get so attached to their job is to convert people. No, it isn't. Your job is to go out and share the opportunity, right? You share the opportunity for people to make great returns and great money from whether it's Bitcoin trading, that's the opportunity you share. Now, for some people, they're going to go, that's exactly what I've been looking for. And for other people, they're going to go going, yeah, not for me.
Not cool. Right now.
Right? You're not looking to convert everybody, right? You're not. Right. I remember I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn. I'm not massive. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, but I'm reminded of Jim Rohn talks about the fact that even Jesus, when he gave the Sermon on the Mount, only about a third of the people in the audience were interested in following him, right? So even Jesus only got a 30% conversion rate. Like, 30% were still perplexed. He says that. He says it in the Bible. 30% of people who listened to Jesus were still at the end of it completely perplexed. There will be a percentage of your audience, no matter what you share with them, no matter how great it is, who will still be perplexed, who will look at you going, yeah, I just don't get it. And that's okay. You know what? That's totally all right.
But you see, I think that's okay as well, because I always say that, at my workshop, some people pop.
Yeah.
Some people, but that's probably not even necessarily because of me. It's because they've been on something else and now they're ready, and they'll pop at somebody else's, and that's all good. So it's all good.
The way I kind of thought about that, similar, I think of it like a combination lock, right? When I interact with somebody, my job is to give them another number in the combination lock. That's my job. Now, sometimes I'm the last digit, the lock opens and they go, you're a genius, you're fabulous, I love you, you changed my life. And you go, hang on a minute, there were 4 other trainers who gave you the 4 other numbers before me. It wasn't all me, right? Which protects the ego. And then sometimes I'm the first number in the padlock, sometimes I'm the second, third, or fourth. Nice. But my job is to keep giving numbers out. And if I do that, eventually I help more people get further. That's got to be the mission, right? Serve hard, sell easy.
So let's come back to the scalable then. So first of all, it's about your net worth equals your network.
Your network. So it's the relationships. The relationships, right? So the value isn't. There isn't a problem. Let me show you something really kind of quick, right? This is where most people get stuck. Whether it's great, it's especially true when they're growing a business, right? So they'll start here, right? So they start growing their business, yes? They're off to the races, they start, right?
Yep.
Then up they go, and they're on the growth curve. Yay, life's exciting, right? Off they go, yeah? Then they hit what everybody hits, which is we all hit one of these. We hit a wall, right?
Yeah, brick wall, boom.
Yeah? And everyone goes, bang, you hit your head, you get stuck. Now, what most people do in this instance, and this is where you get stuck, is we start asking the wrong question. So we start asking the question, how, right? How am I going to get past this? How am I going to do this, right? The challenge is that the how question shuts down the part of your brain that is creative and solution orientated. It's completely the wrong question. So if you want to accelerate your results, first of all, start learning to ask a different question.
Is it this?
Who? Yay! Love it, man. You're already there, right? The question you ask is who. Who's already figured out how to get past the wall? Who's already figured out how to get round it, under it, over it?
And why is that better than the how? Because is it faster? Why is that better?
It's like you can do trial and error. Yeah, you can try that. I've lost thousands of pounds over the years doing trial and error. And how do I do this?
Time, effort.
Yeah. But if I go, my brain goes, who do I know? Network. Who do I know that I can ring up and ask who's already been there, done it, got the result, or might know somebody who has?
They probably will, yeah. Even if they don't.
So even if it's not me, it might not be them, but they might know somebody who has the answer to the question. So now my job is to find the person that has the answer rather than to find the answer.
By the way, people watching this, if you are not right, I am taking notes here. I am taking a lot of notes here. So if you are not taking notes, I don't know what to do. Please take a lot of notes here. This is awesome. Okay.
Thank you. It's just because every time I hit a wall today, even today, right? We'll stop and go, it's not a how, it's a who. So I'll give you a really great example, right? So one
Because
of my
naturally,
clients,
our inclination is to say how.
yeah, right. Because we've been conditioned to think in the way that, oh, everything's a how. How do I do this? How do I do that? No. Because here's the thing. This is what I'm dyslexic, right? So the education system didn't work for me. The education system teaches you to operate on your own in isolation. You sit in an exam room on your own, okay? And you're supposed to figure out all the answers by yourself. So we go into business.
In fact, it's called cheating if you ask somebody else.
Right. But in business, if you don't ask for help, if you don't collaborate, if you don't turn to someone and go, listen, do you know how to figure this out? Because I don't. You're gonna be out of business. Isolation cripples businesses.
So you're saying we've actually been conditioned not to ask.
We've been conditioned not to ask for help. We've been conditioned to believe it's a sign of weakness to go, I don't know how to do that. Teach me.
And you're saying it's a sign of strength.
I'm saying it is the sign of strength. It is the accelerant, right? So give a quick story, right? So talk really financially successful accountant client of mine, like massively successful financial client. We've been trying to get him to do LinkedIn for ages, right? Now this comes back to understanding your profile as well. And he was like, oh, I'm not going to post on LinkedIn every day. Right now, understand his profile. Yeah, it's not really his flow zone. It's not his kind of thing, right? So I said, listen, Jeff. He's like, oh, how do I get myself to do it every day? And I went, wrong question. The question is, who on your team would love to do this every day? Different question, right? Look at the makeup of your team, look at the profiles, find somebody. And we found somebody and they went, oh, I'd love to do that every day. That would be awesome. I'd love it. Guess what? You get them writing the copy every day. He posts it. He's in the first 5 days of doing the strategy we teach on LinkedIn, he's had, so his views have gone up by over like 1,000%, and he's had 7 pieces of business in the first 5 days. Now, if it was him going, oh, you've got to battle through procrastination, you got to fight your way through it. Nature doesn't fight, nature flows. This is really important. Nature doesn't fight, nature flows. Nature looks for the path of least resistance. Somehow, we as human beings have decided that we should always look for the path of most resistance and be some kind of macho that pushes through. And when people say, come to my breakthrough event, I'm like, I don't want to break through. I just want to flow.
The thought of personal development. I mean, I'd hate to attack, my heroes here, like Tony Robbins and stuff, but yeah. In the part, maybe he's changing a little bit now, but it's all about, massive action and cool mass. And in fact, Madrika, my partner, she's just like, it doesn't work. Why are people doing that? And it's a very male energy as well. Yeah.
And I've done it. Listen, I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. He completely changed my life without question, right? I did UPW, did Master University, Date with Destiny, forever changed my life without question, right? And I have a massive amount of time and respect for him. But however, the reality is the more you look at this, life is about flow, right? Whether it's financial flow or personal flow, it's about flow. And people who struggle haven't got enough flow in their life, right? Whether it's, it's usually financial flow. You'll know this. People who are struggling, it's because they haven't figured out how to get financial flow. And it's like having a river with a block in it. And then when you realize your job isn't to break the block, your job is to remove the block. And normally we don't know how to take the blocks out of our own river. We need someone else who understands how to remove the block. When you remove the block, flow just explodes, right?
So I hate to ask a how question now. So I'm asking you, you're the who. How do I didn't know how to get around that one.
No, that was good.
How do I know what the block is? You're right. How do I know what the block is?
Right, how do you know what the block is? Because normally it's creating a huge amount of friction in your life. Mm-hmm. Right. So firefighting friction. If you've got something that's constantly causing you pain.
Oh, that is so interesting. Because normally you're so busy fighting this thing, do you realize that you're fighting something? And you're like, oh, I'm just, okay. So that thing, okay, interesting.
Right. Yeah. So as a team, we will look at every week, we'll sit down and we just do a friction audit every week. What were the points in the business that caused friction last week? And you go, like Leslie sent a message this morning. She goes, oh, I've had a day off because it was her birthday yesterday. And she goes, I woke up to 35 emails that need actioning this morning. And you go, well, that's a friction point, because why is your inbox ending up with 35 friction point, like emails that need actioning? Something's wrong there. Let's look at what's causing that input, that friction, and then build a system around it. So like I own a digital marketing agency that builds sales funnels for people. And in that business, we looked at it and went, do you know what? One of the friction points is that customers don't understand where to send questions. So they were sending them on WhatsApp, They were sending them on Facebook Messenger. They were sending them via text to the team. And it was just this massive friction, huge amounts of data, very hard to kind of trying to manage it, right? So stuff would get missed, people wouldn't get responded to. That's a friction point, customer unhappy friction point. So you go, right, so how do we clean that up? So the way we clean it up is we build a ticketing system, and we train customers to go through the ticketing system, put their questions in there. That flows into one place that's then handled by the team. The flow is now in one direction. It's not sporadic. It's not 15 inputs, it's one input.
Yeah.
So it's about going, look, if there's a friction point in your life, then it's usually because you haven't figured out how to remove a block and you haven't created flow.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the profiling in just a moment, because I'm assuming, because when you're talking about flow, then it might be that, and you just talked about your accountant client. Yeah. So getting somebody else to do it because it's their flow.
Yeah.
So maybe we should talk about that. So how do you know what your flow is?
Okay. Can I just share something? Can I share a model? Because I think it'd be useful if that's all right. And by the way, if you're employed, this still applies. Just if you're watching this and you're employed, this still applies. Because a lot of people go, well, I don't run a business. But you're in a team. If you understand where the friction points are in a team that you operate in as a business, as an employee, and you're able to solve them, do you become more valuable to that business? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah, massively, right?
You're helping to run a business. You're a business.
Yeah. Two things. Number one, the company's going to look at you differently and want to reward you because you're solving problems that are helping them basically create more flow, right? They won't call it that. They'll call it sales. They'll call it profit, whatever, but you're helping to create more flow in that business. Therefore, you're more valuable. All right. Now, in the current climate, two things that's important. Why? You're not going to be at risk of being laid off. That's important. Two, secondly, you're likely to get a pay rise because you're adding value, right? So and when a client comes to me and says to me, a team member just asked me for a pay rise, what do you think? My first reaction is, my first question is always, well, how are they going to add more value? Because you go, well, I've been here a year more, I should be paid more. Well, did you add any more value in the last year? Did you grow? Did you learn? Did you do a course? Did you get any more skills? Because if not, you're just doing what you did last year and expecting to get paid more for it. The world doesn't work that way, right? If you want to get more money in your life, if you want to create more financial flow, you have to what? Serve harder. You have to add more value, right? You've got to get educated. You've got to become a more valuable commodity in the market.
So that's interesting. So even as an employee, you should still be serving strong.
Yeah.
And then the sell becomes easy.
Yeah, the sell, when you go in and say, listen, think about it this way. If you turn up for
a golden nugget there, if you're working for somebody else, make sure you write that down. So you could also be serving strong, solving your boss's problems, which could be customers, but your boss's problems, and so that you can sell easy at the end of the year.
Yeah, because now when you go in and listen, my sell is now to get you to give me a pay rise. That's the sell, right? People go, well, I don't sell. Yeah, you do. You sell all the time, right? You sell your kids on not eating junk food. You sell your kids on putting the iPad. We all sell all the time. We just don't call it sales, right? Mm-hmm. So call it influence, because everyone goes, oh yeah, I'm happy to talk about influence, but not selling, because selling involves money and people get their heads messed up.
That's right.
But if you go to your boss at the end of the year and say, God, listen, give me your top 3 problems that are causing you pain, and if I solve them, can I have a pay rise? The boss, well, yeah, of course, right? Like, so great. Here's my 3 biggest frustrations or issues. Brilliant. You spent all year fixing them. You come back and go, right, I've solved all of those 3 for you. I'd like a 20% pay rise. They're like, of course, it's going to be an easier conversation. You've just demonstrated your value. Now it's like, I don't want to lose you. You just solved 3 big problems for us. So,
I hope people watching this are not just going, oh, that's interesting, but that's for somebody else. It's not, it's for you.
Right.
Or you. It's absolutely for you. So what is that thing that you want to do?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes. Slight sidetrack, but let me jump back, right? But well, think about it this way. Just here's one final thought if you're an employee, right? If you start thinking about yourself as a business, you limited is a business. Even if you're just employed, you have a customer, but it's one customer, right? They're just paying you a salary. They call it salary, but they're paying you for your skill and your time. That's one customer. That's why lots of people are scared at the minute, because they only have one customer and one income stream. So they're at risk. If you think of yourself as a business rather than an employee, my job is to create as much value for my customer. My customer might be one company, but that's still my job. It's a totally different mindset.
So you've got to think of yourself as, Marcus de Maria PLC.
Yeah.
Right, I don't want to do limited because limited sounds limited.
I like PLC way better. Thank you. I think that's much better.
Yeah. So Marcus doing a PLC, and now what does that mean? Now I need to have an income stream here. I need to have a little bit of passive here, and yes, I might have my main job. But okay, that's really actually that's really good because I teach people how to invest their money. So
right, so not have one income stream because that's dangerous, isn't it? Most dangerous number in business is one.
Yes.
One of anything. If you've only got one credit card company processing your stuff, dangerous. One bank. If you only deal with one bank, huge risk. If you only deal with one market, huge risk. If you've got one employee who knows so much about certain parts of your business and they're the only one that understands it, massive risk, right? So like one of the things you've got to look at as your business and go, where is the number one showing up and where is it putting my business at risk?
Yeah.
And people think this doesn't happen. Like but you've just seen it happen right now in the last 3 months where people who had one market, right? So business that was really successful 3 months ago that dealt exclusively with Italy. They're in the travel industry. You'd go, well, what a great, they're dealing exclusively with Italy. Yeah, not anymore, right? The minute that country shuts down, you don't have a business. It's like, wow. It's like you have to get your head around the fact that one can show up anywhere and is dangerous.
Yeah.
Anyway, is this useful, by the way?
I think this is really useful because I think it's useful for everybody, not just the employer, but the employee. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Or people aspiring to have a business.
Yes. And it's sometimes called
schematic. Look, I am.
But it's sometimes called entrepreneur, right? So there's a buzzword that people talk about how to become an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur is basically what we just discussed about UPLC. That's what we're talking about.
That's brilliant.
All right, let me go back to this framework I want to teach you, right?
Entrepreneur.
So let me just teach you this framework, because if you get this, and I'd just like to, can I break a myth I think that's really important just to bust at this particular point? The biggest myth that we have been taught as entrepreneurs and business owners, and I fell into this trap hugely 6 years ago, and it literally nearly cost me my life. The biggest trap is that in order to be successful, we've got to be self-made. It's got to be, we're a self-made millionaire, right? We're a self-made success.
It does sound good. It does.
Yeah. But it's BS. Nobody in the world succeeds on their own. Nobody. No great business was ever built without a team. None. No, none. Zero, right? Elon Musk has a team. Branson has a team.
Yeah.
Buffett has a team.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You pick anybody who's super successful.
But Jeff Bezos, he does it by himself.
Oh yeah, because he's writing all the code and obviously picking all the products. I mean, he doesn't have anybody else, right? So if you're going to build anything, at some point you've got to learn how to build a team. In fact, Harvard Business Review said the top 3 skills you need to survive in the next 10 years, in the top 3, one was understanding the digital landscape, how to do online marketing and leverage technology. Number 2 in the list was learning how to build a team.
But they can. I'm not saying mine are if you're watching this, but they can be a pain in the.
Oh yeah, of course.
They come in with all their challenges that don't leave them out.
Yeah, people are difficult, which is why most people don't even bother to try to figure it out. They just accept that that's just the way it is.
So they stay in that self-employed quadrant instead of going into the business quadrant.
Yeah. Because of the fear of the team. Most people. So here's the thing: less than 5% of the companies in the UK employ more than 10 people. It's like.
Hold on, say that again. Less than 5%. Less than 5% employ.
Yeah, it's tiny.
5% employ more than 10.
And there was a survey done by the Institute of Directors about 5 years ago that was, what's one of the biggest fears you have about growing your business? And one of the biggest fears that people had was the fear of having to employ more people.
But because it's a cost, it's the biggest cost.
It's the biggest cost, but it's the biggest cost, and it's the thing that people struggle to understand because nobody has ever put together a playbook on how to build a team. Now, by the way,
who do you know can help with this?
Right. So, well, I asked exactly that question, which was like, look, if I could solve that problem for business owners, how many more jobs could we help them create? How much more value would they be able to create in the world if they had the right people around them, right?
How much easier would their lives be?
Yeah. But are there other organizations in the world that have figured out how to build teams? Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Military, sport. Like there are people who have figured out what it takes to build a high performing team. What about if we went and did all the research and analyzed the research on what they do and then modeled it into business and took their frameworks, but attached it to business, right? Because sports teams have figured it out. It's not an accident, right? Special forces, high performing parts of the military, they've figured out what it takes to become high performing, right? They've tested it. They've spent hundreds of millions of pounds and dollars figuring it out. So why are we all running around trying to think that we will just magically have this team perform and gel without any kind of structure or system to it?
That's really interesting, because I was thinking, but the old mind. But with footballers, for example, it's easier and I was like, well, actually, it might be a lot more difficult with them because they're prima donnas and.
But I mean, they're just different personality types in a team, right? Everybody has a different role. And look,
is that what you need? Is that what you need? Do you need to have different people? Because you just said different roles, and at the Millionaire Mind Intensive, we teach about in a business, does everybody do the same thing? No, they don't. They have different roles. So therefore, you need to have different pots of money: one for financial freedom, one for play, one for charity, one. So is that the same in a team then?
Yeah, so just use the sports analogy because we're on it. You would, as a manager, as a leader, you would be sacked if you hired somebody who was a really world-class centre forward, whose talent and skill was to put the ball in the net, right? Let's use that as the sales analogy for a second. If you took that person and then had them working in the back office, in defence, tackling everybody, chasing money, you would be fired. Right. And yet people do this all the time because what they fail to understand is that your job isn't to hire people and make them average. Because what we do is we hire people and go, you're good at that, but you're not good at this. So I want you to work on your weakness. And my point of view is that's not their contribution.
So don't work on their weaknesses. That's a big debate, isn't it? About do you work on your strengths or do you work on your weaknesses? Right. And it's work on your strengths.
Yeah, you magnify. This starts with the right question. The right question is, what is the contribution I want this person to make to the business or the team? That's the first question you should ask before you do anything with anybody, right? Okay. Now, if there's a skill you want to develop because you want to get better, that's fine. Skill development is a good thing, right? It's not working on your weaknesses. But if I'm paying you to be a center forward and put the ball in the net, I don't want you to spend hours and hours learning how to tackle. I want you to get world class at putting the ball in the net. I want you to get even better at it. I want you to become the best in the world at that because that's what you're already naturally disposed to do. Plus, you get much higher team retention. People stay in jobs where they feel like they're winning. They stay in jobs where they feel like they're good at it. Nobody wants to go to work and feel like they're losing and they're failing every day. They leave. They quit jobs like that. So our job is to find out what someone's naturally designed at, get them into a role that does that, and then develop skills that help them do it even better.
So this is really interesting because sometimes, or quite often, people find somebody who's good at what they do, and then they go, right, then I'll make them a manager, and then they can, and then they fail,
because there's a failure to understand that so if I'm a brilliant, like the easiest example of this is, we're talking about sales a lot today. I wasn't expecting it, but like I have written a whole book on sales, but it's a separate conversation. But you have a great salesperson. Their profile is naturally disposed to attracting business. They're what we would call a champion, right? They're very good at spreading the message, getting people bought into the idea. They can sell people on the concept or the new idea or the product. They do it effortlessly. They're brilliant at it, right? And people are magnetically attracted to that kind of person. It's like they've got this massive torch and people see it and they want to be a part of whatever that person's promoting, right? Now, that skill set, that talent, that ability is what helps them become brilliant at salespeople, right? Salespeople. So they smash their sales targets and they do brilliantly. Then what happens is the company gets worried that they'll leave, or the person or the individual wrongly assumes that for them to go to the next level, they need to become a manager. So then they go, well, I'd like to be a sales manager. And the company goes, oh yeah, well, you were brilliant at selling, so you should be a sales manager. Not realizing that the contribution that you want from a sales manager is completely different. Sales management is about coaching other people. It's not about being a star. It's not about being the person at the front of the stage. It's about being in the background. It's about analytics. It's about detail. It's about being the driving force. It's about managing performance. It's about recruitment. It's about all of those skill sets, none of which were responsible for that person being successful as a salesperson. So what happens within 3 to 6 months, somebody who was super successful here and felt like they were on top of the world feels like they're failing, feels like they can't figure it out, and they have very low success rate. Not saying some people don't make it, but it's is incredibly high how many people don't last a year as a sales manager, even though they were super successful as a salesperson.
Absolutely. Are you going to
actually
that schematic?
Sorry?
Are you going to draw that schematic? I feel you're holding out on us.
Sorry, mate. Go, anyway. But here's the thing. Go back to that question. What's the contribution? Let me ask you this, right? So
what is the contribution I want this person to bring? Yeah.
Correct. Do that, and it will save you hundreds of thousands of pounds on recruitment.
Okay. Recruitment. That's the other thing about, profiling tools and things like that, is to use them as a recruitment. I tell you, I can't stand it anymore. The amount of money we pay recruiters, it's ridiculous.
And most recruiters don't understand this, by the way, at all, just for the record. All right. Look, let's go a bit, right? So we're brought into this concept of flow, yes?
Yes.
We're trying to create more flow.
Natural flow, yeah.
Okay, so starts out, here's where it starts out. You have to understand your what? Self. So it's personal flow.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand what you're good at, where you add the most value, where you contribute the most. Yeah?
Yeah.
So like if you're in a role and you're feeling frustrated because you're not getting paid enough, it's probably because other people don't see that you're contributing value. So you might be in a role that doesn't need your contribution. It needs a different contribution from you.
Okay.
So that's fair enough. But if you don't understand yourself, you're never going to be able to add value to the rest of the business, right? So it starts out with self. That's why we have every organization profile the leaders first, because sometimes you find the leaders aren't even in the right roles, right? But like you figure out who you are.
The leaders aren't in the well, then you have a big problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you look at a board of directors, if you've got the wrong mix of profiles in a board of directors, you can almost predict the problems that business will have based on the makeup of the board, almost to a T.
Wow.
Anyway, another time. Right there. So you figure out yourself, personal flow, yes?
I'm still wowing. Yes. Okay.
Can you see that all right? I know I'm a bit far away.
Yeah.
Once you've figured out what everybody is as an individual, then you can start to figure out how to put them together to be a team. Mm-hmm. So now you can figure out team flow. Okay, you can't do team flow without understanding personal flow. This is why we have everybody, like we are with you, we're having everybody take their own profile first, right? So that we can start.
Okay, the number one personal, the second team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so think about it like this, right? So it's basically start here, then move around here, yeah?
Okay.
Now, number 3, then you have customer flow. Okay. Now you understand who the right people are on the team. You understand who on the team is the best people to interact with your customers. Who's the best people to generate new business? Who are the best people to serve existing clients and grow existing clients? Who are the best people to do credit control with customers? You can understand who in the team should support and serve customers in the role that the customer is coming to your organization at. Mm-hmm. Got it?
Yep.
Right. Okay, cool. Now, if you do all of that, here's what happens, right? Customers generate what? Cash.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get all these 3 right, you end up with a really strong cash flow because you got the right people doing the right things for the right people.
Cash flow. Very good. Very good. Mr. Avins, very good. I like that. Okay.
Right. Now, if you've got a cash flow problem in a business, it's usually because you've got the wrong people in the wrong roles doing the wrong things.
I have to ask you, did you come up with that?
Yes, mine. That's entirely my model.
Well, you have to put TM on there, otherwise.
Yeah, you're right.
That is very good. Then you get cash and then you get cash flow. I mean, you've got to admit that is good.
Right. Because think about it this way. Salary is the biggest single expense for most businesses, right?
Yes.
I won't ask you to embarrass yourself, but let's assume we asked this question. Let's just take an imaginary business and said, what is your payroll? So if you said...
It's 46,000 or 50,000, whatever.
What, a month?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Let's just use that for maths, right? I'm not saying that is yours, but let's use it for maths, right? So if we said 50K per month, so we're talking 600K, right?
Hold on. You're talking about just for the staff now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So let's just think about this. Where else in a business are you investing 600K?
Well, nowhere.
Right. And what return on that are you getting?
Well, hypothetically speaking, I see. Well, you don't know about how much you're getting for the customer, but you mean overall.
So think about it this way. The UK currently has the lowest productivity rate of any country in Europe and is in the top 3 in the world in terms of poor productivity.
I don't believe that.
Not in your team, but in the UK, right?
No, I don't believe that. You're saying that the UK in Europe, you're saying?
Yeah, we're one of the most unproductive countries.
You're saying that we're less productive than, don't take any offense here, but Greek people, for example?
Listen, I don't remember the research in terms of who's in the top 3, but we are one of the worst, one of the least productive countries in the world. And the way that you also know that is because everyone's working longer hours and achieving.
Now that, yeah, you see, I think I agree with that because we work so much.
Right. Because we're not productive. Yeah. So let's play this out for a second. Because I want, right. Because people are watching this who run businesses. The lesson I really want everyone to get this for, because it's so essential, because you're teaching about investment and I'm saying you're investing 600 grand in people and you've got to ask the question about what your return is. So the best way to ask that is to say, how productive do you think most people are? So let us play the game out with you. How productive do you think your team are? Scale of 1 to 10.
I think they're pretty productive because we've got a good manager in place.
Yeah, cool. So what, 6, 7?
No, more than that. I reckon they're at an 8, 9.
Okay, I've done this all over the world and I'm telling you that is rare. Good for you, by the way, but most people will be happy if it's 50%. If people are 50% productive, they're happy with it.
Well, I mean, you know, they're not machines. I mean, you know, they
right, but let's just play. Okay, let's just be really kind, right? Even if you said they're 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Right. So now you're going to make the maths really hard for me now. Why would you do this?
Let's do 5 to make it easy then.
Okay. So if you did 5, that would say you've got an opportunity to make an extra 25K a month in terms of productivity, right?
Extra. Yeah. Okay.
That's a £300,000 a year opportunity for increases in productivity without any extra cost.
Got it.
Am I saying you'll get it? No. But let's just say we got £150,000 worth of productivity back out of the same resource without any extra cost. No.
How do I measure productivity? How can I measure that?
Right. So that's what we have. We have a tool that we use where we measure what's called the flow index. So how in flow are people on a daily basis, right? So we can measure it. The challenge is most business owners are not looking at it and thinking they go hire more people when actually what they need to do is to get the ones they've got into better roles and be more productive. Because 9 times out of 10, they don't need more people. They need to reorganize the team they've already got.
That is brilliant because the reputation is, oh, you just want me to work harder for the same amount of money. But what you're saying is slight shift is, well, no, it's not harder. It's just more in your flow.
Right.
So to position you in a certain way so that we both get more out of each other.
Yeah. So if somebody says to you, you just want me to work harder, that's a red flag in my head to say they're not in flow because it feels like it's hard work. Because if somebody loves what they do, it never feels like hard work. Well, you know, it's like if someone says, oh, you're having to get me work harder, go, oh, okay, hang on a minute. So let's look at your job. Why is it feeling like hard work? Well, it's 9 times out of 10, they're not aligned with their contribution that they would naturally bring to the table. So they're in the wrong role, but they just don't know how to express that.
Makes sense.
It's friction point. You're trying to force me to work harder. So it feels like friction to them. No. Okay. So there's something wrong here. That shouldn't be the case. I've got people on my team who I love them. I love my team to bits. They work harder and do longer hours than I ask them to and pay them for because they love what they do. And I have to, yesterday I had to force Leslie to have a day off. It's her birthday. And I went, have a day off. She goes, yeah, but I love serving the customers. I love doing this. I'll take 4 hours off. I was like, take a day. She's like, nah, 4 hours is fine. And I'm like, if you love what you do and you're not clock watching anymore, right?
But also, because I'm thinking, and we had somebody in admin, and they could just never finish, and they were always like, never finished, but they had to go because they had a family, and and we just thought, is this person a little bit slow, you know, or what is going on, etc. But actually, they just weren't in the right position.
There you go.
Okay.
And
that's my fault. That's not their fault.
Yeah, it's exactly. When you stay as a leader, my job is to help put people in the right roles so they're in flow. When you realize your job as a leader is to help people be more in flow, it changes how you think about the team.
So if there is a friction point, that is a sign. Yeah. Sorry, just because I've written it down here. It is a sign that is something to look at, or they might not be in their flow, or
yeah, absolutely. That deserves your attention to understand why is that person feeling that way. What is it that's causing them as a friction point? right? So usually it's usually something to do with they're not in the right role, or they haven't got the right support, or the technology might not be supporting them. But you can start to delve into it and go, right, how do we help you be more in flow? What would you need to be more in flow? And you might need to this is 9 times out of 10, when we go into a company, one of the things we'll end up doing is moving some of the existing people around and putting them in roles that are more aligned with who they are, right? Because they've just ended up in that role because that was needed. We needed somebody, so we hired somebody in a hurry. Doesn't mean we hired the right person. It doesn't mean we figured out what we actually needed them to contribute. We just needed literally somebody in that chair to sort out that, and now they've ended up in that role. So most people are not intentional enough when they're building a team, which is why we created the 5 steps to high performing teams formula. So
what we'll do is we'll put some of the links below so people can get hold of you and find out whether they're in flow.
Yeah. Right? Well, listen, I actually did something for you, if that's all right. I wanted to give you a gift. So if you go to contributioncompass.co.uk/special offer, then they can save a bunch of money on the profile and get a free 8-day video course or a free 8-day, I think it's an 8 or 10-day follow-up course that explains all of the profiles and how to work with them. So we'll put the link in.
Thank you very much. We'll put that link in below, and people should start with themselves, you're saying, first.
So the reason is I just want you to start here before you start trying to do that.
That's interesting, because I didn't do the test.
Understand you before you do anything else, right?
Yeah. That's really interesting. Okay, that's fantastic.
Can I just ask, what's resonating for you out of this conversation? Because play the part of the audience for a minute for me. What is landing for you?
Well, there's several things, right? I mean, I was going to actually summarize this at the end. Okay. So let me do that at the end. So what I wanted to know now, so this is really interesting. So, because obviously we teach people how to grow their money. You're there to create the cash flow in the first place. For us, it's to grow their money, to make the money work hard and smart for them.
Correct.
Do you think that there are different strategies maybe where I should be looking at, maybe finding out which strategy might be the best one for them on a more scientific basis?
I absolutely think that's an opportunity, and I'd love to explore it with you, because I think, for example, knowing my profile, if you were to teach me a strategy that meant I had to be really patient and do the same thing every day, I know that my profile is going to struggle with that. After about 2 weeks, I'm going to give up.
What's the name of your profile? What is the name of your profile?
So I come out as a champion, but I have very low sustaining energy. So sustaining energy is the energy that means you can follow through for the long term and get things done. That's why at the beginning I said I have in my gym the words every day consistent, keep showing up. Because for me, that's the single biggest area that I'm working on developing in my profile, because I know it's the area that it's not a weakness, it's just not naturally a flow for me, right?
Oh, I was going to say, so you're working on your weaknesses.
No, it's not. It's just I'm reminding myself that I don't have enough of that energy, so I need to develop strategies around it.
And the profiling tool tells you that.
Yeah, totally. Like for me, I have to, the way I do, so sustaining energy is like, how do you keep it going? How do you keep stuff going? So trading, if you think about it, it's not about the result you get in a week or a month. It's a result you get over 3 or 4 years, right? It just, not necessarily true, but like to some extent, it's about the long-term effect. In a business, very few businesses start, scale, and get rich in a year. Now, a few do, but most don't. They take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to really mature and make significant returns, right? So you can do it quicker than that, of course, but the reality is most businesses take 3 or 4 years to truly get to market in a way that scales the profit. Now, obviously, we can reduce that down with programs, but the reality is people try and do it in a hurry and they don't understand the building blocks. Now, if you haven't got sustaining energy in your profile, I haven't, right? There are certain things that mean that if I'm doing that in a team, I'm not adding the most value, but I also understand where in my life that's going to be a challenge. So what I do is I go, look, for me to stay engaged and interested in training every day or 5 days a week, I've got to vary it up. So I've got a coach. So we change the program every couple of weeks because that keeps the part of me that needs variety interested enough to keep going and keep doing stuff. If you had me doing exactly the same routine every week, I would hit my boredom threshold really fast and then I'd be out. I'd be doing something else. Whereas actually we go, look, every 2 or 3 weeks, we need to change the program. We need to mix it up. We need to buy another piece of equipment, or we need to, we just need to change it so that I stay engaged with the process.
What I love about this is it doesn't rely on your willpower or discipline. It's actually a system that you put in place, because
willpower won't work, right? Because your profile will always beat willpower.
Right.
Seriously, your profile will always dominate. Your profile will dominate willpower every time.
You need to know, guys. You need to know what your profile is. The link
Can I share something? This. Oh God, man, I get passionate about this.
Go on then. But then I need to ask you some questions. Go on.
Okay, but here's why I'm passionate about why knowing your profile is so important. Because do you know what it did for me when I really got it? It suddenly explained why certain things in my life had not worked. Why certain businesses that I'd done had failed, why I had lost a ton of money in the stock market, right? I was like, oh, that explains it. Because every time I had lost money, it had been doing something that was out of flow for my profile. So it wasn't that I was broken. It wasn't that there was something wrong with me.
Ah, very nice.
Right? It wasn't that I was a loser or I was stupid or any of the patterns that we run. It was, no, I was out of flow. I was trying to make money.
So let's talk about that. You lost money in the stock market.
Yep.
Right. So why was that?
Because a number of reasons. Number one, I didn't get trained. I didn't get any kind of training or advice. Number two, I went in with a mindset that you could get rich quick, go in, make a lot of money, get out. Right. And I had the unfortunate experience of making a lot of money in 2 days on my first 3 trades, figured it was easy, and then didn't understand what I was doing, and then promptly lost loads of money in the next.
Pretty classic. But you're also saying that you then found out, due to the profiling, it's not that you're stupid, it's not that you're broken or whatever. You lost it because what was
because I had the part of my profile that's hyper competitive and that could serve me in certain ways was looking for quick results, was trying to hit the home run, was trying to get everything done in 5 minutes. Wasn't taking the time to learn the strategies and develop the habits. I didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like this. If you had the choice, let's use the financial freedom river for a second. If you had the choice to go with the flow and float down the river to financial freedom, or swim against the flow, or swim against the current, which is going to tire you out more.
Honestly, some people, I reckon, they want to go against the current.
Right. Great for them. Happy days. You go for it. I would rather find the flow and get there with a lot less stress and a lot less effort. But if you want to battle through the whole of your life and get to 60 being exhausted physically, financially broke and distraught and damaged, listen, I've only figured this out 3 days ago, and it's like, this is
breaking news, everybody. This is brand new, right?
I've never taught this, and I've never realized this. I was reading a client's report, and he was talking to me about something, and I had this light bulb moment when I went, I've just realized something. The opposite to flow is fatigue.
Opposite to flow is fatigue.
Yeah. If you go home at the end of the day and you're exhausted, you're out of flow. If you go home from your job and you're drinking in the evening because you're so tired, you're trying to, you're just shattered, you're out of flow. Fatigue is the single biggest road sign that you are out of flow. Honestly, and it was
not energized. Yeah.
How would I not realize that that's the opposite? Because I was like, what's the opposite of flow? How do you know if you're out? And he said to me, how do you know if you're out of flow? I just went, I don't know, you tired a lot? And he went, oh, I'm fatigued all the time. And I was like, that's it. You're out of flow then. That's exactly what it is.
Is it not that maybe you are in flow, but you might be doing too much because you're taking on another project, and you won't be, but you could be in flow.
Right. So there are certain types of profile that love to take on lots of different projects. Right. Now that works if you have the team to hand them off to.
Gotcha.
If you don't have the team to hand them off to, what you do is create open loops in your brain. And people watching this are going to start nodding in a minute. How many people watching this have got 3 or 4 projects that are 60 or 70% done, but they never finish them and they never get the money and they never get the return because they never finish it? So
well, if you comment below if that's you.
Yeah, okay, if that's you, comment below.
If that's you, make sure you comment below. Okay.
Because the single biggest thing that shifted my business wealth was realizing that I was really good at starting things and really bad at finishing them. So
that doesn't mean you're broken. That doesn't mean you're a loser. It's just your flow.
No.
Go with it, man. Right?
It means I'm great at starting stuff, but other people on my team are better at finishing it. So do the bit I'm good at and hand it off to them to finish. It's like, cool. That's my personal flow. I'm the guy that gets it moving. I'm the guy that gets clients started. I'm the guy that's a catalyst for change. But that doesn't mean I'm the guy that's going to do the spreadsheets, detailed analysis, do the proofreading. You can't be all those things and be good at them all. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm. Question. And one of the final ones is really, I know that
I'm enjoying this, by the way. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I'm energized by this. So obviously we're in the flow. So I know that you're now interested in cryptocurrencies. Just in like one sentence, why is that? And then I've got a follow-up question. Why are you interested in cryptos?
No, actually, so I'm interested in leverage, right? Not necessarily cryptocurrency.
Okay. So the view is just a vehicle.
Well, it's a tool, isn't it? A team is a tool to give you leverage. A system in a business is a tool to give you leverage. You know, if you realize that, hang on.
Oh, we got another schematic coming up.
Right. Any kind of wealth, right, is the result of only two things.
Leverage.
Yep.
Time.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but there's another important one here, right?
Okay.
Value and leverage, yes?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you're creating lots of value, but you're badly leveraged, you're never going to create any wealth. So let's just use this quick example, right? If you're a personal coach, you might be great on one-to-one stuff, great, but there's a limit to how many people, and I've done that, by the way, like there's a limit to how many people you can serve and how many people you can add value to, because you're not very leveraged. Therefore, can't create a lot of wealth with it. You run a seminar, you've got 28 people in the room or 100 people, you can create a ton of value and a ton of leverage. So therefore you create a ton of wealth. Crypto is a currency that allows you to create value and leverage. So therefore it magnifies wealth. That's my take on it. I'm not saying.
So how does it do that? How does it do it? How does it create value and leverage?
That's your expertise, not mine. I'm the.
No, hold on. So you're not talking about cryptos. You're about the trading of cryptos.
Well, yeah, because the tech platform allows you to leverage your time, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So that's leverage, isn't it? There are 5 types of leverage. We haven't got time to do this now, but there are 5 types of leverage, and most businesses are not using more than 2, and are wondering why they are struggling.
Very quickly, what are they? What are the 5 types? No, come on. No, you can't just, because people are like, well, what are they? Come on. Well, just to give me some of them. What are they? Because I want to know if I'm doing them or not.
Well, hang on a second. Look. Do you get, let me ask you this, right? What's the single biggest excuse that people give you for not doing what you teach them?
Well, I can tell you, I don't have the time.
Right.
I don't have the money. It might work for some people, but it might not work for me. So it's kind of a self-belief.
That last one's just a fear of failure. That last one is, what if I do this and it doesn't work? Then that means I'm a failure and I don't want to have to deal with that in my head. So I'd rather not try than deal with the risk of being a failure.
Right.
That's all that bit is. Let's take this time excuse for a second. Yes.
Time. Yeah.
Right. So we all agree there's only 24 hours in a day. That's the wrong, it's the wrong question. Go back to what we talked about earlier, right? So if you don't have the time, so business owners will say this to me all the time. They say, I don't have the time to do that, right? I said, totally wrong question, right? What you're saying is 2 things. You either don't have, colours are important to me. You don't have the right
team,
or you don't have the right
process.
Yeah,
tech. Okay.
Technology.
Mm-hmm.
Because both of those things fundamentally create what?
Leverage.
Leverage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, look, when you realize team creates leverage, right? Technology creates leverage, right? So if you want more of that, you got to understand about investing in the right people and investing in the right systems and processes and technology. Yeah. The challenge is until we came out with the profiling tool that, Contribution Compass, it's incredibly hard to figure out who you should invest in and who you should hire. Right. So that bit was hard. Likewise with technology, you've got to, if you want to float your business and you don't have a chief technology officer, it's very hard to raise money because people are looking at who's the guy in your business who runs all the tech, because it's become such an important part of every business, right? Like through some of the technology now that we have access to, like this call, you can leverage now at a rate you've never been able to do before. But 9 times out of 10, we need other people to help us do it, right? Like sales funnels being a great example, right? Online sales funnels, you can have outperform salespeople if they're done right, like by 500%. Okay. 500%. Like, why would most people get stuck? Because the tech isn't their flow. They're not a tech person. Yeah, you don't have to. Remember, it's not a how, it's a who. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you get stuck,
I'm gonna stop you there, because I just remembered that you immediately, when we started talking about trading and investing, you immediately, I don't know whether it's natural or not, but you said, my son can do this.
Yeah.
You said, because he's really good at certain things. So that was your kind of team, you know, and you immediately thought about leveraging your time immediately.
But I know that if you, I know myself now that if you said, you're going to have to do any more than 20 minutes a day for me, and I know that's going to, I just know that I don't have the sustaining energy, right? So it's like, for me, I'd be excited for the first 2 weeks, and then that 20 minutes, I'd miss one, then and suddenly it's the beginning of the end, right? So it's like, okay, so actually the way for me to be more accountable is to find somebody on the team who is better at that than me, so that I now am not doing it in isolation, because I'm better when I do it with people than I do it on my own. So like for me, if my son is in, so my son's got great sustaining energy and great refining energy. So he's really good at detail, really good at process. This will make you laugh your head off, right? I bought a really big piece of gym equipment. It was huge. It came from Germany, right? It took 2 days to assemble. Now, I know that I am the worst person in the world at assembling furniture. So the idea of assembling a big piece of gym equipment, and by the way, if that breaks and I drop 100, if I drop 25 kilograms on my head, I could get killed, right? This is serious stuff. So I went, I'm not the person to build this. Who do I know who's brilliant at following instructions? My son, he's 14, right? So I said to my son, help me build this and I will pay you, all right, on completion of the project. All right. So he told me, he ran the project for 2 days. He told me what to do. This bit goes here, Dad. Yep, fine. I'll provide the manpower, but he ran the project for 2 days. In 2 days, we had this amazing piece of gym equipment built. It worked perfectly. There were no missing bits, right? Nothing left. He did the whole lot.
I love it, because you were leveraging him, but he was leveraging you.
Yeah, totally, right? So it's win-win. That's complete win-win, isn't it?
Totally, and utterly.
Does that help, by the way?
Totally. Listen, I'll tell you what I loved about this, because I'm looking at the time, and we need to have another one of these, because there's so much. You're a fountain of knowledge here. Like, okay, your network is your net worth.
Yes.
That is, and that's something that I've really never really done. And I know about it, but I've never done it. So I need to look at that. The trust.
Can I just say, stop, listen. Let's just encourage everybody, right? If they're not connected to me on LinkedIn, go find Paul Avins on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, add me to your network. Then you get access through me to my network, right? Don't ask me to just start giving you money, right? Just build a relationship.
Yeah,
connect with you on LinkedIn.
And then transact, absolutely. Yep. This reminder that you had about serving strong, just to show up every time. So you had a visual anchor there. And remember to solve a problem, and then the selling is easy. I thought that was brilliant. I like this one, by the way. People have to participate in their own rescue. Brilliant. Nature doesn't fight. Nature flows. So that's why you do these friction audits once a week to see where people maybe are stuck. And the number 1 is the worst number. This whole thing about if you've only got one employee that knows everything, you've got one manager, you've got one way of making money, you've got one customer, etc., etc. That was really good. The whole Marcus de Maria PLC, so really looking at yourself as that. That's obviously together with the one again. The myth of the self-made millionaire. Nobody's ever done that. We always need a team.
Yeah.
The question that we need to ask ourselves is, what is the contribution I want this person to bring, and then put them in that particular role. And if they're struggling, it's because they're not in their right flow of where their contribution should be. You have the pyramid where you have the personal first, where do I contribute the most, then the team flow, then the customer flow, and that will give you cash. Yes, and when it's in flow, that'll give you cash flow. I thought that was really good. And I'm going to talk to you about doing a profiling thing for trading and investing to make sure that people are doing the right strategy so they don't smash their head against the wall doing the wrong strategies. I think that's absolutely fantastic. For me, that was one of the biggest nuggets.
Oh, obviously. Cool, man. I'd be really excited because I think it would help. I think it would really help people. If it, like for me, if you said to me, listen, in order for you to execute this strategy, you need to either partner with somebody who's got this energy, partner up with them, right? Cool. Or you need to find someone in your family who's got this energy so that, yeah, great. You're going to set people up for success, which is really, what I want to do. Yeah. That's what's driven me my whole life is how do I help people become more successful? And it's not just like you have to help them do it in a way that they enjoy and that they resonate with, right?
For sure. And make it simple for them so that they're not, and then they think I'm a failure. I couldn't do it. Everybody else is doing it, which is absolutely fantastic. Opposite to flow is fatigue. If at the end of the day, you
heard it here first. Never taught that before.
That's right. And then wealth equals value times leverage. And then we talked about one of them, which was time, but another one I'm assuming is money, tech, etc.
Yeah, well, I gave you 3. Look, I was a bit secret. That you asked for 5 leverage. I gave you 3 on the board. There's 3 on the board, right? 3 pieces of leverage on the board. Time, team, tech, money. There's 3 leverage pieces right there.
All righty. Paul Avins, thank you so much. I'm sure that people, I think, would get so much more out of this, even more, if they watch the entire thing again. I always say, don't read a book and then chuck it away and read another book. Read the book again, but this time really study it. And I think this is one of those where I think that people need to go back now and really study this interview. I thought it was amazing.
Thank you, man.
Paul, thank you very much. We're going to leave some details below so people get hold of you. I'd love everybody to please make sure that you subscribe to this channel to make sure that you get quality interview material that you can use immediately. This isn't, Paul might have put stuff into nice little schematics, but this isn't theory. This is, so how many businesses have you built?
Well, in my F12 mastermind over the last 8 years, I've personally coached, probably about 150 people with a net worth of over £1 million each. But I've trained over at least 3,500 business owners. So the thing I'm really passionate about is not the theory, but actually how do you take it and use it in the real world, right? Because it's got to work in the real world.
For sure. For sure. And that's what I love about what you teach. And there's some real golden nuggets that I can get, just use immediately. So what I'd ask everybody to do is, what was the biggest golden nugget for you? If you just comment below, Paul would love to see that as well. What's the biggest golden nugget for you? And what are you going to do? More importantly, it's like a golden nugget. Great. But what are you going to do with it? And make sure that you do that. Paul Avins, thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been, as I say to all my clients whenever I speak anywhere, you get paid on what you get done. So go out, take action, and get results.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, man. Thanks ever so much.